Hey YouTube, it's me, BrandonColonel again, and I'm going to do basically just a string of videos right now, because now that I'm back home for a little bit, then I'm back with my entire collection, and since I started doing it, started with YouTube just since I was at college recently, then I was separated from most of my knife collection. So now that I'm back, I'm just going to do a whole range of them, so that way I can, especially with the fixed blades. The folders I can get away with doing it at my dorm room, but I can't necessarily get away with doing a knife this big at my dorm room. And so this knife is the Combat Ranger, made by Cutlery. It comes in a box that looks like this. It is a very decent sized box, but it takes every inch of it in order to keep this knife in. The only modification that I really did to the knife was I added a paracord lanyard. It did come with a lanyard of its own, but it wasn't tied right here. It only came down to about maybe here. Excuse me. And it was just really cheap, and I didn't like it very much. So, but this is a chopping knife, so you really need that extra lanyard just to kind of help secure you and get you locked in place. Maybe wrap it around a couple times, that way it really just can't get away from you. So, on to the knife. It has single stitching. It's let me see if I can get that in frame. It's folded over right here, which gives it a little bit of extra strength. It's got rivets in here. They also help to keep this knife in place a lot better. And being so strategically placed, and then you're not going to slice open your sheath just by pulling it out. And this is a very decent sized knife. This would be really good for real heavy chopping. And as you can see, this is a very large knife. It's like going from the end of my hand and to my elbow. This thing is every bit as long as my entire forearm, plus my hand. So this is a massive, massive knife. And but even though it is incredibly top heavy when you're chopping with it, it is also incredibly balanced. Like it is just a little slightly off center. Well, I guess I can't exactly say center, but it is just slightly off the tang, just a little bit. But when you've can't move it so fast. But when you've got all that blade, and then you're balancing with that little handle, that is a really good balance. And for it to feel so top heavy, but yet be that incredibly balanced, that's new for me. So this is incredibly balanced. And so like I said, just if you're going for heavy chopping, I highly suggest you put like a paracord lanyard on it, so that way you can really get a better grip on it. And this is a full tang blade, and one of the last reviews that I did was on the tack assault, and that one was also full tang, just in case you're watching this video afterward. And I'll see if I can't put a description in the box for that one. But this is a pack-a-wood handle. I've come to see that on a couple of Frost Cutlery knives. But I actually really like this pack-a-wood, and the video probably isn't doing justice just how this actually looks, because when you're looking at it in person, it's almost got like a sheen to it, and in certain places it almost looks 3D. It is a really cool handle. And but yeah, the video isn't really pulling out just how much of a sheen this thing actually has. But this it fits really well in the hand. I can see how there around the finger twirl there may be a little bit of a hot spot if you're doing extended cutting with this, but seeing just how razor sharp this is and just how easily this thing batons and just slices through whatever you put it through, and it can hack it can chop, it can slice, it can do whatever you want it to do, and it retains that edge phenomenally well. I batoned quite a bit with this a few days after I got it, which I actually got this thing around Christmas time. And I've batoned with this thing, and it batons flawlessly. Didn't even have to touch up the edge afterward. There were no nicks in it to be found. This thing works phenomenally well. Now, if any of you are seeing all these dark marks around here, then that is not through a fault in the blade or anything of the sort. That is actually where I've used this as a fire starter, well, a fire striker, so to speak. Because there's another knife that I also got around Christmas time, which, by the way, I got like 14 knives over Christmas. Most of them are frost cutlery that they aren't really worth that much, except for just like so I can say that I have more knives, and that they are interesting to look at. But as far as utility, they wouldn't even be anything to review because there's just nothing to them. So I have 43 knives. About 14 of them are frost cutlery pocket knives that I would have no need to review because they're just not worth anything. They are good for sentimental value because my grandfather gave them to me. But beyond that, no, not really. But this came off of this pocket, well, not pocket knife, sorry. Came off of this sheath blade, the Sheffield Rogue. A review on this is to come. But one thing it comes with is a fire striker. In this fire starter, should I say. Basically just take it in the back of your knife. And let me see if I can get it. Goes. There we go. There's a couple of really good sparks, and that's what caused all of that. And it's what causes all these are scorch marks from where I was sparking it a few times. And one thing that I actually found interesting was if you put it in here and then angle it downward, and then like say you're trying to get like precision sparks going, and you're trying to get it exactly where you want it to, and you can actually put the tip of the knife down on a surface somewhere, and then angle it wherever you need it to, and then put a lot of force behind it and pull. Now I can't exactly get that on camera because I would have to be hunched over and I don't have the equipment to really show that. But otherwise, yeah, that actually really works doing it through these holes. Now, just had to clean it up a little bit. But yeah, so this is razor sharp. Works phenomenally well with the back end striking in case you ever need to use a fire striker. And but this feels really good in hand. If somebody had the equipment to be able to do it, then you may want to taper down some of this edge right here because it is a little bit boxy. And so if these edges were tapered down just a little bit, they would feel a lot more comfortable in hand. But as is, this is already really comfortable. One of the main reasons why I like this knife is because of this green handle. Green is my all-time favorite color, especially in this shade. And this is kind of an iridescent green, seeing as there's multiple shades in the same handle. But yeah, so this is really like a big, massive Bowie knife. And just a really good design. Uh, I could do with seeing that the back edge of this a little bit thicker, because with it being thick right here, that wouldn't be that's actually the kind of thickness that I would expect it to see it all the way through. But they cut out a swedge to, I don't know if it's to take off weight or what, but being a chopper, especially with a design like this is definitely a chopper. I mean, you can just see where the belly is right here. That's it. Oh, cut myself a little bit. But with the belly being right here, then that is definitely where you would just want to aim at to chop with. But you would expect to see just a little bit more of a back end as in the way of thickness. But it does work phenomenally well. I was able to baton quite a bit with this, and I didn't even have to touch up the edge. It says that this comes in a satin finish, but satin finishes are typically a lot shinier. This is highly polished, yes, but satin finish I wouldn't exactly say that much. It's just not what I would call a satin finish. Just no. But this is very polished, and it doesn't. Frost Cutlery doesn't like to say what steel they use at all. So this all it says is 16 inches overall satin blade, 3.5 millimeter thickness blade, green pack wood handle with cord, stainless steel guard, and heavy nylon sheath. So, as far as the steel itself, this is a really high quality steel, at least for the price point, which I don't know how much this actually is, because when my grandfather got me all these knives, then he apparently got a lot of them for some special thing that he did. I don't know. He didn't tell me, and I didn't really ask. But whatever he did, he got a lot of knives, and he gave me a lot of them. Because he knows that I'm a collector, and basically if it has a blade, I'm going to appreciate it, whether or not it's actually useful. Because I can put in my collection and just admire them. Now, this one, I would probably give it maybe 440C. And because I don't know what would go just above that, but whatever comes just above that, this is probably what that would be. But if I would have to go in the 440 range, I would give this a 440C, because this is a really good steel. Batons just flawlessly. I barely even felt it going through, and it goes through without a problem. And this would definitely hack down a tree. It would do whatever you need this thing to do. And this thing can easily push cut paper. I mean, let me get my paper here. Okay. Let's go. This is just absolutely razor sharp. And which I actually forgot to do a paper cut test with the tack assault. So, for those of you that are following me, then here is making up for the lack of a paper cut test on the tack assault. Again, just a razor sharp knife. There's the paper cut test on the tack assault. Let me find my sheath. There we go. Again, excellent knife. Go check out the review on this if you have not already. But yeah, this is a phenomenal knife. Great sheath. When you're putting it in, though, it is a Velcro. But when you're putting this in, then you do have to move out of the way the straps, so that way you can put it in all the way without the straps getting in the way. Because because otherwise the guard really catches it and pushes it underneath, and it just gets to be a little bit of a hassle. So whenever you're pulling out, it doesn't really matter, but if you're pushing it in, you do have to push that out of the way in order for it to go in without a problem. It just takes a little bit of getting used to, but otherwise it really does work. Now the belt loop, which is right here, if you're going around that'll probably bang around a little bit, because it is a good sheath, but as far as being on your belt, that'll probably bang around just a little bit. Which, one thing that I might actually do is trade up the sheath whenever I'm going out, and using the sheath from the Sheffield Rogue. Again, review to come on this. Because on the Rogue, this actually fits in perfectly. Yeah, it fits in without a problem. And this is a little bit better. Well, not even a little bit. This is actually a lot better handle. Well, not handle. Sorry. This is actually a lot better sheath. It has stitching. It has rivets. This is a really good, high-quality sheath. And on top of that, it has pockets for both your fire starter, which that I put in the bottom. And a secondary thing is a sharpener. Now, the sharpener isn't really worth all that much, but if you're in a survival situation and this is all you had, it would work. It would do something. It would, at the very least, it would put a working edge on your knife, and you wouldn't have to go searching for something that can actually work on your knife to sharpen it. So, and if you had some kind of serration or a recurve as like say a backup, excuse me, as a backup pocket knife or something, this would work for it. But yeah, so that just fits into the back of the knife, the knife sheath, and so I may trade up the sheath every once in a while if I'm actually going out for the Sheffield Rogue sheath. And it also has the snap-on strap, which is what I prefer, because it's just a lot more secure. And also, the sheath retention isn't that great on this one, but that strap stops it very well. So no need to worry about it. But so this is a very good knife. I have no clue about the price point. I have yet to find this knife on YouTube. So just maybe try Amazon or eBay. See if you can type in Frost Cutlery Combat Ranger. Look for this knife. You won't be disappointed. This is phenomenal. So go check it out. As always, stay safe.